Hello! We're going to do the 50 things tag. Louise tagged me in this forever ago and I'm just now getting around to do it. I have my cute little notebook which has 50 things written in it. And yes, there's distractions going on. We've got bangs, that's one. They're always there. I just usually pin them back because I can't be bothered. But today I let them bother. 2, that's a treadmill. Or maybe a big cardboard box. I'm not sure what's in the shot. 3, that's clothes hanging from a ab machine. And that's because 1, after you own exercise equipment for a while, it should have clothes hanging on it, I think. That's the tradition, isn't it? And 2, my kitchen also is my closet. And if you don't understand why, I'm sorry. This is going to be too long of a video. We can't explain that now. You'll just have to either try and follow along as we go in vlogs to come, or go back and watch old ones and figure it all out. Or somebody in the comments could tell you if you ask. I bet somebody would respond. Okay, 50 things. Number 1, I'm left-handed. So is Scarlet. But I bowl right-handed and I use right-handed scissors. Number 2, I've kept journals since I was teeny tiny and writing about like, and this boy liked me and I wanted to play double dutch but I don't know how, and my Chinese jump rope is getting so long, and so is my ball of tinfoil I'm collecting because of Pee Wee Herman. I would write things like that in a journal, and I've kept journals since I was that age, but I have never once finished one. There's something psychologically wrong with me that will not let me complete a journal. I'll get to like 10 or 15 pages left, and something makes me stop. And I always say, I'm gonna finish this one. I feel like it would be such a sense of satisfaction, but I don't know. I think it's like a fear of success, or I don't want chapters of my life to close, or time marching forward. It's some sort of deep, dark mental thing that I need therapy for. Number 3, my husband, Ryan, who's over there, is related to a famous athlete. We can't say who, but he is, and therefore we are. You okay, baby? Let me see you. You got chocolate face. You got chocolate face. I've been joined by a slightly sorrowful Scarlet. You want to sit with me? No. Okay. Number 4, I used to wander my house in old lady nightgowns by candlelight, and I did this until I was far too old to be playing these games, but think of like Anne of Green Gables-esque Little House on the Prairie, Little Women kind of things. If the power ever went out, I was delighted. I was immediately in my old lady nightgown. You're okay, bunny. Carrying around my little brass candlestick that I cherish so much and walking about the house using words like hither and yon. Yes, I did. Number 5. After seeing the movie My Stepmother is an Alien, I think that's what it's called, I decided my neighbors were aliens because they had blue and green lights that flickered through their windows all the time at odd hours of the night, which I now realize was their television. But I thought they must be aliens, and I used one of those aforementioned journals to track the alien movement in my neighbor's yard. Number 6, I'm 6 feet tall. That seems to surprise people. I have a lot of tall friends too. I can think of at least 6, maybe 7 of really close friends that are either as tall or taller than me. I really don't know why Scarlett's having a moment right now. She got her feelings hurt because I said not to kick the chair that the camera was on, and now we're just gonna have a snuggle. So we'll tell 50 things while we snuggle. You're okay, baby. I don't have much of a lap for you to sit on, huh? There's a big old huckle bump in the way. Number 7, I have old man crushes. Not like romantic crushes, but like any man that's 15 years or more than me. There is a short list of men that I just like to stare at and listen to, and people like Garrison Keillor from NPR, who has a whistle when he talks, and Jimmy Stewart, and Gene Kelly, and, well, they're dead. Okay, non-dead ones would be like Brian Williams. Yeah, Rockefeller Center. Just love his eyebrows, and he has a good sense of humor and the way he reports the news. Who else do I have in there? The guy on PBS who builds a log cabin and brought a camera and recorded himself. He was like the world's first ever vlogger, and he went and lived in the mountains. And he built a cabin and recorded it, and he carved a wooden spoon and made hinges for doors, and oh, I just love him. Old men, yeah. Number 8, I was almost named China. And I'm glad that I wasn't. However, in 7th grade, I thought it was the greatest name alive. But now there's that female wrestler who's also like 6 feet tall, and she also has dark hair, and her name's China, and I'm just glad that I'm not a China. Number 9, I love to mix odd foods. There have been many a time where me and my friends, or Ryan and I, have sat down to a meal, and I'm like, I want ribs and waffles and seaweed sticks with fondue. But then when I'm pregnant, no. I have no tolerance for anything other than yogurt, apparently. Number 10. Do you guys remember the Saturday Night Live sketch where Andy Samberg and who else was it? That other guy with the thick thighs. They rapped to Chronic, "What Clothes of Narnia?" I can do that entire rap, and I've performed it many times while wearing Puma gear. Number 11, I'm a huge Jim Henson fan, and when I was in, Scarlet wants to show you something. We'll pause on Jim Henson, and we're looking at, what are we looking at?
Froggy.
Froggies! This is her favorite toy, and I got it at the dollar store, and she loves it, and it's a mommy froggy and 3 baby froggies, and she likes to tell me that the mommy froggy is an island. How does she know what an island is? How does she grasp that concept, and who taught it to her? Who taught you island?
Mommy.
I don't think so. Wasn't me. I don't think I could grasp the concept of island at 2. And she also says the mommy's a sailboat. That one makes more sense to me. Okay, go show Daddy, honey.
Okay.
Okay, what was I talking about? Jim Henson. I love everything that has to do with Jim Henson. Every school report where we had to do some sort of biography on someone, I always chose Jim Henson. I've read everything. I've read everything he's ever written, including the sketches that he wrote coming up with the Muppet Show while he was on an airplane flying somewhere. And I've watched his funeral, which is available to watch on YouTube, and Big Bird giving eulogy is the saddest thing you'll ever see. 12. I owned a ferret named Tucker. He was the sweetest Tucker.
Achoo.
Number 12. I owned a ferret. His name was Tucker. He looked like a little white polar bear, and I named him Tucker because he was all tuckered out, because ferrets sleep like 17 hours a day. And he was fat and cozy and deaf, and so he snuggled a lot, and he wasn't skittish and crazy like most ferrets are. Number 13. I hate styrofoam. I hate it, hate it, hate it. I can't touch it. I hate the sound of it when styrofoam touches itself. And when I was little, my grandmother would give me a snow globe for Christmas every year, and I would run out of the room and have my cousins open it. They had to completely get rid of the styrofoam before I would come back in and look at the snow globe. Yes. I also feel the same way about pruny fingers after you get out of a shower. So my idea of hell is pruny fingers and somebody tossing me giant balls of styrofoam. Ugh, it makes me ugh. Which is a good one too. I'll throw this in, little sidebar. My last words, if I die in a car accident, will be digga 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 digga, because that's the noise I make to warn people if there's like a car that's coming into our lane or if something scary happens. I go, ah, digga 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 digga. So helpful. 14. Ryan and I have taken West Coast swing lessons, including Lindy Hop and an aerials class. So Ryan has thrown me, looped me over his head, through his legs to the side, do-to-do. And we've even done like swing dance weekend away kind of trip things, you know, where you go and dance the entire week, like a swing dance camp. We can swing dance. Number 15, my favorite dessert is Oreo pie that my grandma used to make for my birthday every year, and since she's passed away, I haven't been able to recreate it. Number 16, I performed at halftime shows for several giant sporting events, things like the Anaheim Citrus Bowl, and what else was there? Oh, I don't remember the name of it. One that takes place in Florida. Maybe the Citrus Bowl was in Florida and the Anaheim Bowl was in Anaheim. I think that's right. I've also danced in the Disneyland Parade with a dance group. Well, not a dance group. A group that I was with that was not a cheerleading group, not a baton twirly group, and not a dance group, but we were just indescribable. We'll just have to let your mind wander at that. Number 17. For a very short time, when I was 14 years old, I modeled. And I actually have a modeling portfolio, and there was a chance that I was going to move to Greece for my modeling career, but my mother decided that at 14, it wasn't the right age for me to be making such big career moves. So instead, she took me on a cruise with like Looney Tunes characters. 18. I'm fluent in American Sign Language. I think this is really funny that I have never mentioned this really formally in a vlog, but it's what I went to college for. I studied sign language for 6 years. I was taught by an all-deaf staff, so completely submerged into the culture, and they were all from Gallaudet University, which is an entirely deaf college. I think the language is beautiful, and that will lead to people asking, why haven't I taught my daughter sign language? It's a whole nother story. Someday I will, but yes, I very deliberately didn't teach her when she was small, which I know is so counteractive to what a lot of people do. Maybe I'll describe it in the comments. Yes, go read there if you want to know why for that, or in the description or somewhere. Number 19. A food I do not like is plum sauce, the kind they put on pho. It's the only food that I can think of that I actively cannot put in my mouth and swallow. Everything else that you hand me, I'm totally willing to try, but that's one that I just, I don't like it. I don't know why. Number 20. This one is a little bit deep, and by a little I mean a lot. It's kind of shocking actually, but I decided to leave it in because this is learning about me, right? I feel like it's getting really dark out. Can you still see me? I was witness to a fatal car accident. I used to live on a street that had one side was a busy street and the other side was residential, and our house faced the residential area. But I was walking in towards my front door and I heard what sounded like a shopping cart being hit by a car. And I totally thought, why is there a shopping cart in the middle of the street? Turned around, saw a woman laying down on the pavement in a car about 15 feet away from her. So she had been hit and thrown that far. And I was the first one out on the scene and ran out with my cell phone calling 911. And the things I remember about the whole incident are so odd. Like, I remember how scared the 911 operators sounded, and they were patched me through to 2 people. So I was talking to 2 women at once, and they sounded so freaked out. I was really surprised by that. Also, the woman who hit the other woman, she was a grandmother and she had her 4-year-old granddaughter in the car. She didn't get out of the car, and I now realize she was stunned and shocked, but she just sat there at the wheel with her eyes really wide. And anyways, long story short, after the first responders and all the people were there to take care of the woman who had been injured, I went to the car and I just opened the car door. I didn't like knock or anything. I just opened the door, bent down to the little girl really fast. I don't even think I acknowledged the grandmother. And I said, honey, scooch down, because I didn't want her staring at this scene. She was in the front seat. She wasn't wearing a car seat. I don't know if car seats were illegal at that time when I was 19 for a 4-year-old, if she was supposed to have one. But she was in the front seat, just had her regular seatbelt on. And I said, scooch down so you can't see. And I said, I'm going to bring you some things to do. And at the time, which like all of my jobs, I worked in a media job with kids. And so I had these different like media little kit things and coloring pages, and I think I even had like a doll or something still in the package. And so I ran inside and grabbed a bunch of stuff for her. I brought it to her and I put it on the chair next to her in her car, and I said, you just look at this and you're gonna hear ambulance sirens and fire engines and stuff are gonna come. Don't be scared, it's okay. Just look at these things, you're gonna be okay. And she just said one thing to me, and that was, I'm only 4 years old, which is such a big concept now. Like, looking at it later, I was like, she's telling me, I realize this is a huge situation and I don't know how I'm supposed to handle it because I'm only 4 years old. Anyways, if I tell stories like that for all of these, this is going to be so long. We found out later that the woman later died in the hospital later on that week. And I don't know what happened to the grandmother or the granddaughter. Hooey! 21, back to lightheartedness. Weird segue. I had my first taste of coffee when I was 7 years old, and I drank 11 cups of it at once. My mother obviously didn't know. She took me to work with her, and she let me play in the copy room where I was trying to make my own activity book. You know, one of those books where it's like, memorize what's on this page, and then you're supposed to flip the page and write things down, and they have little comic book stories and stuff. I was drawing, in my 7-year-old mind, one of those, like a highlights magazine, and they had French vanilla instant coffee on tap. And I thought it was like hot chocolate, and I was just guzzling that stuff down and whipping out my activity book with all kinds of gusto. 22. When I was in high school, this kind of seems to all make sense to me now with all the other stuff I'm sharing with you guys. When I was in high school, my senior year, I wrote a Sweet Valley High style novel that I never finished, but it was about all my friends and like all of their boyfriends and stuff, and of course they all had different names, but we would pass it around at different periods, and people would want to go like, oh, what happens to this character? What's happened to this one? And they would figure out who was who, and so of course everybody wanted amazing things to happen to their characters, and it just got to be too much pressure, so I just stopped writing it before we all went to prom. But if anybody from any of my friends, they're probably going, I remember that. I wrote a chapter book in high school that was very Sweet Valley High style. Number 23, I once recreated a Rainforest and Australia in my living room with butcher paper and plane tickets and everything. My little cousin, I was babysitting her, and she said that she wanted to go on a flight to Australia and to the rainforest. So I used butcher paper and made floor-to-ceiling trees for the rainforest. For Australia, I had koala bears hiding in different parts of the house. I made an airplane with tickets. I even made one of those like, for safety, please keep your seat in the upright, blah, blah, blah. Here are where the exits are. Pamphlet. I served meals as if they were authentic meals for what you would eat in the rainforest and what you would eat in Australia. I think I was like 12, maybe 14, doing this for my cousin who was 6 years younger than me. The entire living room. Like, you walk in and you would see tree, 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 tree. You had to like walk around things and stuff. Yes, only children, they get creative, figuring out how to prepare when friends come over, I guess. Quite impressive. Number 24, I love big weather. Big rainstorms, big thunderstorms, big snowstorms where the whole world gets so quiet and you can hear the snowflakes hitting the ground. You can hear kids blocks and blocks away building snowmen and giggling, and like everything just gets more magical. As long as nobody gets hurt, I love big weather. 25, I'm totally a closeted nerd, like really, really in deep. It starts with Red Dwarf. I'm a Red Dwarf fan, which is a British sci-fi, really poorly made, which makes it awesome comedy, and the later seasons are better. Then it goes to science articles. I used to go through in college reading millions of science articles on creationism and evolution and like the Miller-Urey theory, and I just read tons and tons of that kind of stuff. Then it went to well, I'm a Doctor Who fan and all those things, but that's kind of getting more mainstream because it's a little bit more cool to be geek. But when I got pregnant and I had pregnancy-induced insomnia, because I have every stinking pregnancy-related symptom in the world, so of course I had insomnia, I thought I need to find like a mellow, slightly boring series on Netflix that has 1 million seasons that I can watch to fall asleep, and it'll help me get through my insomnia. And now I can say I'm 7 months pregnant and I have watched 7 seasons of Star Trek. I can name all the characters, I can say all the species names, I can tell you Federation laws. I'm in deep. Yeah, I never thought that would happen. I never thought that would happen. 26. I never crave stir fry or Mexican food. I'll eat it, I like it, I just never crave it. 27. I had the best dog in the world, and he passed away 1 week before Scarlet was born. And at the time I thought it was horrible timing and that it was like an end of my childhood, because I had him from when I was 11 years old all the way through getting married until a week before my first child was born. And I thought, now begins, you know, family and having children and me growing old. Like, I thought I would look at my life in these 2 chunks, and it was just so incredibly sad to lose him, because he was my tried and true standby best friend through everything I went through growing up, which was a lot. I had a really, really rough, very rocky childhood, and my Joey dog was always there. And he was the smartest dog in the world. You could say your toy's in the kitchen or your toy's in the bedroom, and he would know what you were talking about. You could take 2 tennis balls, exactly the same, and say this one's Joey's and this one's for our other dog that we had at the time. Totally mix them all up, and then throw the one that wasn't for him, and he would just stay eyes glued to this one. Everyone agrees, it's undisputed, everyone who met Joey the dog thinks Joey the dog was the best dog ever, and I will include a picture of him at the end of this. Love my puppy. However, now that I'm on the other side and realize that he passed away before Scarlet came, I think it was absolutely divinely inspired and perfect timing, because I was able to mourn the loss of my dog without having to set aside my celebration of having my newborn little girl. So I had that time to mourn him, and then I had Scarlet, and it really was, I thought I'd be mourning him forever, but it really was such a clear, like, it's okay kind of thing. And I'm just so glad I didn't have Scarlet there and then have to like make these hard decisions about my sick puppy and everything. Okay. Whew, there are a couple like deep things in here. 28. I'm the only one on my dad's side of the family who doesn't have piercing aqua blue eyes, like Hawaiian ocean blue, and I just got gypped. I'm the only one. 29. When I was little, I would make my mom turn all of my stuffed animals around before I went to bed so they weren't looking at me. 30. I make amazing steak and hot chocolate, better than any restaurant version or any others that I've ever tried. Steak and hot chocolate, that's my thing. Number 31, I grew up with my mom taking me to Broadway musicals since I was teeny tiny, and some of them were kind of inappropriate. Like I went and saw Cabaret in Chicago, but I loved them. I loved the dance and the music and the costumes and getting dressed up to go to the theater with my mom. She'd put me in little Shirley Temple peacoats and tights and things. I just loved it. And I plan to do it with my own kids too. Number 32, I have oddly double jointed fingers, and I'm going to show you. So if you get creeped out easily, close your eyes and I'll tell you when you can open them again. Ready? I can do that with all of them. I can do that, and then this part goes dead. I can bend them all really far back, which means I can do the splits. Like if this were a table, I can do the splits with them. Bam. My thumb touches my wrist. Can you see that? How do I show that? Oh, it cracked. That adds to the effect. And they're freakishly long. I can do all kinds of, it goes on and on, but this is a long list. We have to move on. Okay, back to just my face and my bangs now. You can look again. Number 33, I'm a sympathetic crier when it comes to joy and sentiment. So if you're going to have a baby or be baptized or have some sort of joyous, monumentous experience in your life, I am right there with you, totally overjoyed and flustered and doing that thing. I'm one of those. Number 34, I went to Europe twice before I was 20 on my own, which is completely out of my character, but I did it, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. I went for and with a boy, like he was already living over there, and I flew over there. There's a vlog about it somewhere. But I was Alice in Wonderland, and it was magic. Number 35, I would have been named Brian if I were a boy. 36, I've met a lot of celebrities. I tried to count through, and I thought maybe I would list some of them, but that just seems kind of douchey. Sorry, for lack of a better word. But I counted over 20. Number 37 is another hard one, but it's just a part of something you don't know about me. I lived in foster care for a while. Very small part of my childhood, I was in the foster system. Number 38, I've never broken a bone. Number 39, I used to share an elevator in the office building that I worked at with Bill Nye the Science Guy. I ran into him every once in a while. He wasn't the friendliest, but who isn't an elevator? Number 40, I've been to Canada, Mexico, the Bahamas, Austria, and a French airport. I think that's it as far as foreign countries. Number 41, I love storybook characters like Pippi Longstocking, which is well known about me, but any tiny, spunky little heroine girl who just doesn't listen to adults and sticks it to the man while keeping her happy, spunky attitude and ends up, teaching everyone along the way, Pollyanna style. Love them, and I hope someday to be able to write a story like that for Scarlet. Number 42, I won 2 art contests in school. 43. I didn't know about the movie The Princess Bride existing until I was 25 years old. And the crazy story is, when I was really young, I think like 8 years old, I was recording my mom and I was pretending that I had my own radio show. And I was recording my mom as if she was a baseball player on my little Walkman recorder. And I said something about, and what's your name, to the baseball player who my mom was supposed to be playing. And she said, my name, Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. And because I have it on recording, I always remembered that, and it never made sense to me why she said that until I was 25 years old and sat down and watched The Princess Bride for the first time, which my mother never told me about and therefore ripped off my childhood. 44, I still want to be a professional doodler. I have some ideas in some ways that I'm hoping to make that happen. 45, I used to travel around doing kids shows and assemblies for 2 different companies, 2 entirely unrelated companies, 2 entirely unrelated things. In one, I was a mad scientist, and I would go to different school productions or things where there's like 600 or more kids and, send rockets into the air and set things on fire and do the whole everything that you think of with a mad scientist. There was a lot of slime. I made giant bubbles and would encase a child in a bubble, and then they could touch it from the inside and it would pop. We did the Van de Graaff experiment and made kids' hair stand on end, all of those things. And then the other one, I danced. Danced for children. Sounds weird, but I did, including the cha-cha slide. I have done the cha-cha, I've been paid to do the cha-cha slide. That's right. Cha-cha now, y'all. 46. The best day of my life was definitely my wedding day. 1, because it was the beginning of my family that I have now and love so much, but 2, it was just a ridiculously amazing day. Everything fell into place. I was totally ready to be the bride who just let water, go off my back like a duck. And just whatever happened, happens, and it's okay. At the end of the day, I'll get married, and everything that happened went better than expected. It was magic. And I still plan to do a wedding tag that I'm going to create, and I want to hear about everybody else's wedding days or planned weddings or whatever. I'll do that at some point. 47. I've always grown up with a ton of pets. 48. Ryan is my longest relationship now, and we've been together for 6 years. The longest before that was 4 years. I've had 2 relationships at 4 years, so how old does that make me? Or how old did that make me when I started dating? 49. I used to have a really successful Etsy shop, and the reason I don't now is I just stopped making the products, and I thought, oh, I'll get more stock in and start up again, and I just never did. 50. I've had 3 jobs that have plopped me in front of hundreds of people. So it's kind of funny that YouTube became a hobby because it kind of fits, and that's another thing that I didn't really think I would ever do or be. I was the girl that was like the backup cleaning girl in all of our school plays and stuff because I didn't like the spotlight and I couldn't do a monologue to save my life and I stuttered over everything. And so it was very odd to me that my 3 most serious jobs ended up in public speaking mode. Yeah, and now YouTube too. I'm definitely an introvert, and I think that's hard for people to realize unless you really look at what an introvert is, and I am one. Okay, that was 50. Is that everything? I've got some little notes on here. Let's read the extras. I think there are things that are magic in this world that just shouldn't exist. This is a very good little happy, fluffy place to end it, but things like bubbles, hot chocolate, roasted marshmallows, confetti. I think it's amazing that in the world we live in, which really, you know, blows quite a bit, that those things exist. And they make me happy. Clouds that look like things. Yeah. What else? You guys want to add to that list? What are the magical things in this world that seem like they should only exist in the land of My Little Pony and Rainbow Bright and stuff like that? I mean, bubbles. Bubbles? They're just pure joy. Children love them, and they're right. Yes, they are. Alright, that was 50 things. My next video that I'm planning on doing is showing you guys some of the treasures that I have collected for when we finally get this house back to ourselves. It will happen. It will frickin' happen. Almost swore, didn't. Okay, bye.
As promised, here is my loyal Joey dog. This is him on our wedding day, and here he is when I was pregnant with Scarlet. He made it to 17 years old.